Hi everybody, I'm Kathy with Fargo Mom, and I am coming to you live tonight with a very special family. I'm here with Katina and Justin Behm, and we're here tonight to talk about how football has positively impacted their life. And we're all, as you can see, sporting some gear, so we'll get to that in a minute. We also have some great tips about bringing kids, especially little kids, to NDSU football games. And they have a good history of that, which we'll talk about. Before we meet the Beam family, I want to thank our partners at Future for Football for helping us spread a positive impact that football has on families like these guys and communities across the country, including right here in Fargo. And you can visit futureforfootball.com to find leagues near you, whether you're here or somewhere else watching, if you want to get involved in the game yourself. So Katina and Justin, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about how you're involved in football here in the community, as well as how it's impacted you and how it brought you together.
Sure. So I didn't grow up in this community. I grew up out east. And when Justin and I met, we were fans of different teams, but we were doing long distance. So we used to watch our prospective teams over Skype. That was like our first sort of way of dating each other and getting to know each other. And then I moved out here and was completely submerged in all things North Dakota football. Didn't have any idea what I was getting myself into. But Justin, I had no choice. And I have now grown to love everything local football. And you can speak to maybe like your dad and you, I guess.
Well, I grew up playing football. I'm from North Dakota originally, from the western half of the state, moved to the eastern half of the state to attend North Dakota State University to play football. So I played football all the way from flag football into middle school football, high school football, and had the opportunity to come out here to Fargo to play for North Dakota State. And then after my career there, I was able to coach for North Dakota State for 3 years as a graduate assistant, and then I coached high school football for over 20 years until this is the first year in 20 years I haven't coached football because I took a new position as an activities coordinator, and in that position I'm not able to coach anymore, which is kind of, it's taken a little bit to get used to.
It sounds like it.
Instead of being on the sidelines, I'm now behind the sidelines in a different role. So it's a little bit of a change. Still get to be involved in the game and in some of the processes, but I'm not in the meetings and with the players as much as I used to be.
Yeah, it sounds like you miss it.
I do miss it quite a bit. It's, as just like with players, as a coach, you develop relationships with the different students and our learners that come through, and there's the beauty behind football is it's for everyone. And having different coaches and the number of coaches on staff, there's going to be one that you build a relationship with. You're going to know all of them, but not all are going to have that personality that clicks with another player. And the beauty behind having a bigger staff is the fact that one of those staff members will click with a player on the team. You develop, lifelong relationships with these players, and when they're married and have children, which is the case, you see them at the store, or you see them around town, you stop and have conversations about how things used to be. But the best thing is, the young men, and I've also coached, young women on our teams, and just stopping to see, how they've grown into the person that you knew that they were going to. And it kind of gives you a sense of pride.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you guys too have 3 kids, so they're involved in football, correct?
Yeah. Owen, who is 17 and up at Fargo North. Justin actually coached him last year. So he plays varsity, but he's injured this year. So he's sort of taken on a different role, like just as Justin has. Everyone's transitioning to different roles this year, but because Justin coached last year, Owen kind of stepped in a little bit to that role, which was fun to see, and doing some of the same mannerisms as you did and little traditions as you had before. We got to see that a few weeks ago, and I think Justin slowly was migrating towards the sideline. I'm like, you're not coaching anymore. It was hard to stay away, but that's been awesome to see.
So it's as disappointing as for him not to be able to play as junior. We've had conversations about the new perspective that he's grown in kind of a different role as not a player, but as kind of a player helper. I wouldn't officially call him a coach, but he helps out. And, having that perspective of being on the other side of the ball and looking at his classmates or his peers and being like, oh, this is kind of what it looks like from behind the curtain, if you will. And, getting a deeper understanding of what goes into the game and, the commitments that are there for both players and coaches.
Yep. And then Augie and Delphi are 6-year-old twins. They're in first grade. So Augie plays flag football, all in, just loves all things football. And then Delphi dabbled in it last year, but she, likes the more casual, less competitive side of football. So playing, on the sidelines, tossing a ball in our yard, that's more her style.
So play at home.
Yeah, the play at home. Yeah.
That's all right. It's awesome that she tried.
Yeah,
exactly. And got a feel for it.
She likes actually coaching. She would tell kids what to do. So maybe that's in her blood more than the player aspect. Yeah.
Well, awesome. I love hearing that story about how you guys met and just how involved you guys are in the community when it comes to football. It's really cool to hear. And we'll have an article coming out from Katina where you'll get to read more about it. But we're going to jump in next to some great tips about attending Bison football games in town here. If you haven't been to one, it's a really fun atmosphere, just something we'd encourage you to do as a family. At Fargo Mom, we're all about fun things to do. And so you guys clearly have been to games, been tailgating with your kids. So you have some awesome tips, especially little kids. Like, what are some tips for bringing little kids to the game?
Yeah, I think I don't know how old they were. They weren't babies in the sense that we put them in a backpack carrier. So for them to do that, they have to be able to hold their head up, But the carriers were a game changer. I know that there's rules on strollers with the dome.
You can bring them in, but you can't have them. You can leave them on the concourse, but you can't bring them down to your seat with you. So
yeah, so
that's kind of a hassle to have.
It is a little bit, yeah. So we use the backpack carriers at a tailgate. You're eating, you might have like a beverage, you're talking to people, and you want to be hands free. So we put the kids on our back. They were hands free, so we could pass them snacks.
Yeah,
and it was such an easy way to kind of, because you're walking a lot in a tailgate, and there's a lot of people, and so it's just an easy way, to make sure you know where they are and be hands free. And you can take the backpacks, they close real easily.
Right.
So you can take them up. And little ones have a hard time climbing those stairs. The stairs get steep.
Okay. So speaking of stairs, footwear, you think that's important to know?
That's important to know, yeah, because there's, tailgate's a parking lot, and there's, glass and rocks and things that are just not so easy on the feet. So even those early fall games that are really nice, and you might want to wear flip-flops or whatever, our kids, once they were old enough to run around, were in sneakers because they do want to run around. Yeah. But there are, it's a parking lot. Yeah. So it's, you want to avoid that.
Talk about bathrooms, like using bathrooms before the game, during the game. What's your tip there?
Yeah. There's porta potties at the tailgate, and I would recommend hitting those before you even go in, because everyone's going to have the same idea. You go in, everyone's like, let's hit the bathroom before we go to our seats, so they'll be in line. So we usually hit the porta potties before we go in, because if you've been to the dome, it goes up into like AABB, and we learned the hard way where we got up to the top, and then I have to use the bathroom, and you're like, oh my gosh.
And there are the stairs
and
again.
Then you go back down. Yeah, so I would do all the bathroom breaks before you even enter the dome, and spare yourself the trauma.
Okay.
Going up and down those stairs.
Good to know. Noise canceling headphones, you mentioned those. That's a tip.
Yeah, because and the dome is notorious for the acoustics because it's indoor, and so it gets really loud. We had the cannon goes off when they score a touchdown, and that's really jarring to kids, especially with some sound sensitivity. So the dome does have little push buds, but I think for littles those are hard to keep in. So noise canceling headphones, they have it like Fleet Farm, Amazon. I think even where did we get ours? Bed Bath & Beyond. I was going to say that, and I was like, was that where it was? Yeah, so plenty of places to get those, but they're comfy, they stay on, and then even if you feel like it's not that loud, they'll be, if you're not paying attention and there's the boom, your kid's going to lose it. That'll be the end of the game for you.
Right.
Yeah, so those are really important. It's just safety, really. It's the big part of that. Yeah.
I know they say no food or drink inside, but one of the other tips was bringing an empty water bottle. So they have the refillable stations
Yeah.
around the dome. Correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do have those. So bringing an empty bottle. You can't bring, just like any event. If you were to bring, I don't know if we brought a diaper. We did. We brought like a diaper bag.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're bringing, if you're 21 and bringing a diaper bag, you might get stopped.
Yeah.
If you don't have a baby with you. But
Right.
I think they kind of understand that you've got
Right.
supplies for kids and things like that. So we had brought a diaper bag.
Yeah, they are. I did verify that too. They're
Yeah.
okay with diaper
Yeah.
bags. You can obviously bring formula, breast milk, even small snacks for toddlers because we know they need one every 5 minutes. But obviously, if you have a 12-year-old and you have a bag of food, they're probably
Yeah.
not going to be keen on that. So we mentioned the strollers. That was another tip. If you have a child under 3, you don't need a ticket, but they do ask that they sit on your lap. Obviously, they don't want them taking up a seat if they don't have a ticket. So that's another good tip. Food vendors that are in the dome are, very family-friendly things. Domino's Pizza, Dakota Grill, which is, there's tons of like French fries, things like that.
Oh, the Bavarian nuts.
Very nuts.
Yeah.
That a thing.
Best
Definitely,
ones at the dome.
right? Definitely North Dakota. Ice cream, Dippin' Dots, shaved ice. There's all tons of kid-friendly stuff. If you're there to indulge and let your kids have a treat, there's lots that you can do there. In terms of different activities during tailgating, I know Justin, you mentioned they have bouncy houses.
Yep. So if you're in the tailgating lot, there's lots of different aisles that you can walk and
Okay.
get that exercise if you need it. Places to throw a ball,
Get all the
aggressive,
shickles
but
out.
also
Mhm.
there is a section marked off that has some bouncy houses for
Okay.
the kids now. Might be a little packed. It's
Probably, probably.
Another tip is, if you can miss a little bit of the game, the concourse during the game is kind of empty.
Okay.
So before game, halftime, after the game, it's going to be packed. But if you're going between quarters, they have TVs and the corner sections are open, so you can check the game as you're letting your children
Run some steam up.
yeah,
Yeah.
if they can't sit in the seat that long.
That's good to know. Well, there's a game this weekend. You guys going?
I think we'll try to tailgate.
Okay.
We haven't got. Usually, we try to hit 1 or 2 tailgates and then get tickets for one of the games.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this weekend, I'm not recalling the time, but they're usually at 1 or 2 o'clock, I believe. And it's on our calendar if you guys want to check that. I know that. Another one's October 15th, and the next one's October 29th, and they're actually playing the University of North Dakota on November 19th. If you happen to be into that old rivalry, that'll be coming up too. But
Those tickets are fun too.
yeah.
You see like the two-tone greens.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's fun.
So super fun atmosphere, kid friendly, lots of things to do. So if you're looking for something different to do this weekend or another weekend this month, definitely something to check out. We're super excited that it's football season. I know you guys are too.
I love it.
It's just a fun time of year, fall, especially around here. Fall means football. So we encourage you guys to get out there too. And if you have any other tips that maybe we missed, if you're an avid tailgater or a football fan, drop them in the comments and kind of share the knowledge with all of us so we can all get out there and bring our kids with to enjoy some football. Thanks for watching. Thank you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.